Next on Startup, we head home to Detroit, Michigan to talk to Danielle, who created Detroit Maid. Then we head over to York, Maine to talk to Tom, the owner of Maine Coast Shellfish. All of this and more is next on Startup.
There is nothing easy about starting a small business. A Baker's Tale, all natural and gluten-free cookies, tarts, pies, and cakes online. A Baker's Tale is proud to support Startup and all of the entrepreneurs out there trying to sweeten their own story of success.
The American small business was built on one thing: relationships. And every time a customer walks through the door, a new one begins. Pay Anywhere was built to help entrepreneurs do what they do best. So keep loving what you do. Just get paid for it. Pay Anywhere.
The Michigan Economic Development Corporation is proud to support Startup and all the dreamers, thinkers, and doers. Pure Michigan, ready for the next big thing.
You've written your own story of success, and it shows. Chrysler is proud to support Startup and all the people out there who define their own success.
My name is Gary Brado, and I'm a documentary filmmaker and an entrepreneur. The economy is in less than perfect shape, and when the jobs go away, there's nothing left to do but get up and get creative. And there are people all over America doing just that. It's estimated that up to 85% of new businesses fail. So I'm going coast to coast to hear the personal stories of the people who beat the odds and started a successful business from the ground up. This is Startup. I'm on Bagley in Detroit, Michigan, and I'm going to go talk to Danielle, the owner of Detroit Maid, a company that specializes in residential and commercial cleaning. Let's go hear her story. The term maid can be traced back to the Middle Ages, when girls that weren't allowed to marry dedicated their lives to serving wealthy households. Today, cleaning services are accessible to a much wider demographic of people of varying socioeconomic status. When Danielle tried to find a maid service in Detroit, she realized that the market was extremely underserved. So she stepped in and created her own unique brand of cleaning service.
Hi, my name is Danielle Smith, owner of Detroit Maid, a residential and commercial cleaning service for Detroiters on the go.
So tell us who you are and a little bit about your history, background, education, work.
Sure. I was born and raised in Detroit. My parents actually owned a pizza shop, which was really an inspiration for me. It sort of planted that seed for me, but I didn't do anything about it for a long, long time. I went off to college, majored in public relations and public affairs, and then from there, my career sort of took me into a hybrid of community organizing and public relations.
Let's go back to the pizza shop.
Sure.
So were your parents always entrepreneurs?
No, actually, they are social workers. Both,
Okay.
yeah, they're both social
I
workers.
can see how that works with pizza.
Yeah.
I guess.
Just like PR and cleaning, it makes sense.
Perfect, yeah. I find that a lot of people that we talk to, their entrepreneurial inspiration usually starts at a very young age. So for you to see your parents actually create something from nothing and succeed probably had a big impact on you.
Absolutely, absolutely. I watched them start their business and I saw, kind of the good, the bad, and the ugly, and I still thought, like, this is really cool because they have control and flexibility and they can kind of navigate things in the way that they'd like to see it.
Let's talk about the concept of Detroit Maid.
Sure.
How did it come up? How did the whole thing kind of start?
I was just extremely busy and I didn't have time to just do the basic things to take care of my house. And I looked for a cleaning person. No one would come to my house. I contacted people who were 3 to 5 miles outside of the city.
But no maid services in the city?
And there were no maid services in the city that could meet my needs.
Right.
So I thought, man, like, this is crazy. Somebody should start something, And I kind of sat on it for, almost a year, nine months or so. And I heard about the Build Institute, which is basically a business incubator that supports startups. And I just decided, you know what, I'm just going to give it a shot. I had just written a couple of pages into my business plan and reached out to Build. I started the classes and it was amazing. It was an amazing confidence builder. It was amazing to just have that support and accountability.
Let's talk about Build Institute.
Sure.
How did that come about, and how important of a resource is this?
We saw a gap in the market for resources to help community entrepreneurs, people that wanted to open service or lifestyle businesses, Main Street kind of brick and mortar lifestyle businesses. And so we launched the program and it just took off. We've graduated about 600 people through the program in the last 3.5 years.
Oh my
and
gosh.
Many of them opening successful businesses across the city and beyond. And Danielle's one of our great success stories.
What kind of person is she? What do you think about Detroit Maid?
She is a go-getter. She never gives up. She works hard, and that's what it really takes to open a small business. I mean, people have an idea in their head, oh, I love baking cookies, I'm gonna open a business. But baking the cookies is like 1/10.
Not the business.
Right, it's 1/10 possibly of what you're gonna be doing once you open a business.
Detroit has become a hotbed of entrepreneurship, with new businesses popping up around the city each week. In early 2015, a survey showed that Detroit placed second in the country for new small business growth.
What did it cost to start your business, and what were some of the things that you had to invest in order to get off the ground?
Our startup costs were really low, actually. It was under $1,000 to get started.
So no loan?
No loan, yeah. It was just personal investment, just in cleaning supplies, and then sort of our web presence. So we have a system that we use called BookFresh, which helps people to schedule online, and it's really easy and convenient. So, it's 1 a.m. and you're like, oh shoot, I don't feel like doing this. You can go online and schedule book your cleaning person there. So it's much easier. So, I invested in the BookFresh system, web development. The web, initially, the investment was about $30. We used a template.
Website.
Yeah, we used a template to get started and just kind of filled everything in. Yeah. And then we're just now making that transition to a totally different kind of rebranding of the site.
Well, it's a good way to get things off the ground and kind of dip your toe in the water without sinking tens of thousands of dollars into a site.
Absolutely.
Get a site up and work with it, but now you're building a new one?
Yep, we're building a new one now. I was connected with the Ad Craft Club, who had a campaign called the Hello Detroit Initiative, which basically supports entrepreneurs with branding support. So it was a whole contest, and then the winner of the contest gets sort of a flash weekend of branding support. So I won the contest, and the amazing team of ad crafters just all came together and rebranded my business. I had a different logo that kind of sucked, but it was a little design and publisher logo. And they revamped everything, and I've used it ever since.
Let's say that I log on, I book an appointment online. Do I get a consultation call? Do you come to the house? Like, how does it work?
We come to the house. So the first appointment is an estimate. So they basically would go online, book an estimate. A person comes out and assesses the home, and a team member will determine the scope of work. So do a quick little walkthrough, show them what we call the Maidifesto, which is a 40-point checklist. Yeah, that actually came out of the Hello Detroit campaign, by the way. We walk them through the Maidifesto, and they get a chance to pick and choose what they want. We determine the cost. We have an hourly rate, so we determine how long it'll take to go through the whole process. And then from there, they schedule their appointment.
What is the Maidifesto?
My guide, because I forget everything. So if I forget, before I leave, I go through each room. Kitchen, did I do all this? Yes, check. Bedroom, general area, so I don't forget anything.
So once you go through the whole thing, then you're pretty much done and you can leave.
In my mind, once I've done this whole sheet, I've touched everything in the location.
What kind of person is Danielle?
She is the sweetest. Every time I see her, I just smile.
Good energy.
Yes.
How did you come to hire Detroit Maid or meet Danielle?
Well, I've known Danielle for a few years now. And as a matter of fact, I happened to see a flyer for Detroit Maid on a table. When I called, it turned out to be someone that I already knew in Danielle.
Was it a little awkward at first, being it's sort of a friend cleaning your house?
It was, because I wasn't expecting someone that I know now is going to be responsible for cleaning my house. So I'll be honest with you, sometimes I do clean before they show up.
I think a lot of people do. It defeats the purpose, doesn't it?
It does. But, it's just, you want to make sure that at least you don't want people to know you're as dirty. But, but quite frankly, it's pretty cool.
Walt Disney gave his housekeeper Disney stocks every year for the holidays. As a result, she died a multi-millionaire.
What has been the hardest part of this entire process so far, from beginning till now?
I would say employee retention. So we have a really great team. Like, I think our team is awesome. And it's been hard to grow that team. So, we're actually having interviews now. We lost a team member recently and we're looking for new people. And it's been a challenge.
What is the greatest thing about what you do?
I think the greatest thing is just seeing it grow. I mean, I really feel like
exciting.
I'm like, this is my baby, I feel like just to see it was an idea 3 years ago, and now it's actually been implemented. I think the most exciting thing for me was 10 or 11 months after we started, we got a call from Paramount Pictures, and they were interested in, they were filming Transformers 4, I believe, and they contacted me and just said, we Googled you, and hey, what can you do? And I'm like, we will be there. So we cleaned the set of Transformers, and it was just an amazing experience. And it was like, wow, just a few months ago, we didn't even have a website,
And now here you are.
Yeah, and it's really been exciting to watch the growth.
What does the future hold?
Well, you know what? I mean, I'm so excited because, products are in the future. That's something that we'd like to grow into. And also one thing that I'm really excited about is the opportunity to do an initiative called Clean for Good, which is basically an opportunity to help families who are transitioning from a shelter into more permanent housing to just have a clean space to live in. So providing that first cleaning, providing home goods to kind of help them get started. And that's something that we're looking forward to integrating into the daily services.
What would you say to other people out there that have a dream and a vision but are too scared to do anything about it?
You know what? I would say write it down and talk about it with people that you trust. I think I was terrified, and I sat on the idea because I thought, I don't know if this would actually work. But I thought, you know what? This is something that I'm passionate about and excited about. And so the more I shared it openly, the more confident I felt to actually pursue it.
Well, thank you so much for meeting with me today.
Thank you
I
so
really
much.
appreciate it, and wish you all the best of luck in the future.
Thank you so much.
There are a million ways to start a business, but how did Danielle do it? Let's find out. She started with $1,700 in the bank, which she used to open the business. Danielle does not have a lease or loan payment. In her first year, she made $11,000 with the business operating at a profit. The one word that she would use to describe what it takes to make it in business is passion. Detroit's population continues to rise, so Danielle scrubbed up her business plan and started a business that's really cleaning up. She's doing what she loves and getting paid for it. Some would say Danielle has it made. For more information, log on to our website and click the link for Detroit Maid. I'm on Hannaford Drive in York, Maine, and I'm gonna go talk to Tom, the creator of Maine Coast, a lobster distribution company that's delivering Maine's freshest catch all over the world. Let's go hear his story. Lobster fishing can be traced back to the American Indians, who would spear them in shallow waters or low tides. Over the last 200 years, the basic principles of lobster fishing have remained the same, although modern technology has definitely made it more safe and efficient. Tom knew the shellfish industry inside and out, and this gave him the confidence to go all in on this unique business that's sending East Coast lobster all over the world.
My name is Tom Adams, owner of Maine Coast. Our mission statement is to become a leader in shipping North American lobsters, both Maine and Canadian, worldwide.
All right, so start by telling us who you are and a little bit about your life, your background.
Yeah, my name's Tom Adams. I've grown up in York, Maine my entire life. My family is multi-generational in Maine. I started in the lobster business when I was 15 years old.
15.
Just as a laborer on the docks, unloading boats, picking lobster meat, whatever they asked me to do. And
So did you have a genuine interest in this yourself, or do you think because it was a family tradition, you got to kind of pushed into it?
my family had done some lobstering in the past, my father, my grandfather, but it wasn't their full-time career back then. So no, it was really just I had a passion for the ocean, and I asked my father, you know, hey, I'd like to go fishing. What do you think? And he's like, well, I did some plumbing for these guys that opened this lobster business in York Harbor. So I went down and got a job with them, and I ended up staying with that company, and I became a partner in that company in my mid-20s.
So what then?
My partner at the time and I were equal partners, but we just had different visions of where the business was heading and the industry was going. And you know, we ended our partnership, and I actually signed a non-compete for 2 years.
Holy cow.
Yeah, and 2 years later, I opened Maine Coast.
Stepping into an established business is sometimes hard. Like you said, there can be, complications with, visions and goals. So you finally had the opportunity to do it yourself.
Exactly.
Walk me through that first year, 6 months. What
Yeah,
happened?
I wrote a business plan with some help from some state sources. I hadn't done that before.
How important was that?
Incredibly important.
Really?
It was the basis of everything I did, and it really was certainly my first year and a half in planning, and my first year of being open. It was kind of my Bible that I went back to.
It's a guide, right?
Yeah.
You had kind of written your roadmap in advance and then just had to follow it. For
Exactly
the most part.
right.
I mean, this is a big facility, and this equipment does not look cheap.
No, it was not, and it was 2011. The economy had collapsed, and banks were not willing lenders. And it was a big loan. It was about $1.5 million.
That is really rare for a small business owner to be able to borrow that amount of money.
Yeah, it was. It was my business plan, and most especially my experience in the industry that the banks believed in. My commercial lender at the time, who I met, he believed in my business plan. We closed the loan. We went to lunch afterward, and he actually said to me, he said, I got to tell you, my boss said to me when I was presenting this loan, do you believe in him? And he said, yeah, I do. And she looked at him and said, would you put your job on it? And he said, yeah, I think I would.
So he put his job on it.
And she said, well, you just did.
Oh my gosh. Did the guy get a promotion at the bank?
I think he did, actually. So he's no longer my commercial lender, but he's still at the bank. So
hopefully he's still batting 1,000.
yeah, I think he did well.
According to Forbes magazine, more small businesses close nationwide per month than open. However, in Maine, the opposite is true, with more businesses being founded per month than shutting down.
All right, so Lobster 101. I truly know nothing about lobster. I probably ordered it 3 or 4 times in my life. So teach me about lobster.
Lobsters. Some people like a chick lobster, which essentially is about a 1 pounder to a 1 1/4 pound.
That's a good looking chick.
Yeah.
Very nice. Cool. Okay, is it?
And they range all the way up in the size to these bigger ones here. These are actually a 3 to 4 pound.
What are those called?
3 to 4 pounds.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about the species itself.
If you're flipping them over right here, when you look at these right here, you can tell that this is a female lobster.
If these were stiff, it would be male?
Something like this. Oh, that's a female as well, I'm sorry. Something right here. See, these are
that's
a lot
a
more
male.
stiff. Yep. That's the difference between the female and the male.
So you still turn it upside down to tell sex?
You can. Some of us can tell just by looking at the tail and the size of the tail. The male tail is a little bit smaller here, and you can tell this female tail is a lot wider.
Right, a little more junk in the trunk.
Correct.
Got it. How do you buy from the boat? Is it based on
we actually buy
weight?
just run. We call it run.
Okay.
And so they're catching the lobsters, not weighing them, just making them 100-pound crates, sending them to us. And
so you buy 100 pounds at a time?
Correct.
Okay, so how do you get the lobster?
We get our lobsters from several local lobstermen, but we also buy throughout the state of Maine and Canada from other lobster companies and buy from 5, 10, 20, 50 boats.
So what expectations do you have on these boats? Do you say, you're not coming back in unless you have 10,000 pounds of lobster for me?
Yeah, we actually have no control of it. We rely on them to go produce for us and supply and provide.
You buy
us
what they
supply.
catch.
Exactly. When the fisherman's committed to selling to you, you've committed to buying the lobsters, and you buy them sometimes whether you need them or not.
What's the making of a good lobster man? What does it take?
Just gotta have a good work ethic and just keep going at it all the time, you know.
Right.
A lot of hours in it, and some days it don't pay that great, other days it does.
So how do you actually catch the lobster? You drop a net down, wait, and then pull it up, or what's the process?
Use a lobster trap.
So you're actually fishing for it?
Yeah, you bait the trap, and the lobsters go in after the bait.
Huh. So what's the state of the lobster industry right now? Is it going well?
It's going very good.
Lobsters don't have vocal cords and therefore don't scream when you cook them. Those sounds are actually just trapped air leaving their stomach.
What's it like to grow up in a place like this, man? It's beautiful out here.
You know, it's just amazing. I've traveled around the world on business now many times, and there's some amazing places in the world, but I'm always drawn to come back here.
Nothing like home,
No,
especially
really
if home is this.
And we're here on a beautiful, June day. It might not be so comfortable in February, but it's just as beautiful in the
Does
winter.
lobstering go through pretty deep into the season, into the winter?
It's a year-round business
It is
in Maine.
year-round.
There's less fishing days due to weather, but most of these fishermen, especially the ones with bigger boats like this, fish 12 months of the year.
It's got to get a little brisk.
It does.
A little bit. All right, so what would your advice be to other people that want to start a business?
My first piece of advice would be really be passionate about what you want to do, because it's going to take a lot of hard work. It's going to take an investment both on a personal level and a financial level. Mm-hmm. So if you don't love it, it's hard to keep your drive going. I still love what I do every day. I have bad days, I have good days.
Of course.
But I love it.
So what's been the hardest part of this? It seems like it was, no pun intended, smooth sailing from day one.
The hardest part is, and it's a good problem, but the hardest part has probably been our fast growth.
Which people will say that's a good problem, but really it can be detrimental. If you grow too fast and your demand exceeds your ability to supply, you can turn off some people and ruin relationships, right?
I had to be very careful about that. We went from, like I said, 7 million first 7 months to 15 million in sales the following year, and 4 years later, this last year, we did 40 million in revenue.
You're killing it, man. Wow. What's the future hold?
For me right now, it's not as much as about making more money. It's about building a company that I'm proud of and my employees are proud of, and we're looking at potentially buying other facilities in Canada to acquire more supply. So it's still in growth mode for me.
So it's safe to assume that you're happy. You made a good call.
I am. I'm at probably both family and business-wise at one of the happiest points in my life. So
thank you so much for taking the time to let us invade your space today.
I appreciate it.
Right,
thank you.
There are a million ways to start a business, but how did Tom do it? Let's find out. He started with a credit score of 740, and he spent around $2 million to open the business, which he received from personal equity and bank financing. He has been open for 4 years, and the business is currently profitable. The one word that he would use to describe what it takes to make it in business is drive.
In order to net big profits, you really have to claw your way to the top and do whatever it takes. And there's nothing fishy about this business. When it comes to fresh seafood delivered globally, Maine Coast is definitely the catch of the day. For more information, log on to our website and click the link for Maine Coast.
It's extremely important to have a balance between work and personal time. I think we always have to check in with ourselves and ask ourselves if we are in balance. And for me, being in balance means being productive, earning an income, spending time with my family, and also doing something that contributes to the community. So I feel like my work in my office as a professional feeds my my pocketbook, and my family feeds my happiness, and what I do at Forgotten Harvest feeds my soul.
And then, what is it you do for a living?
I play professional football for the Detroit Lions.
Okay. This is the big question. Super Bowl is here?
Yes.
Come on, please.
Yeah.
Please, I'm begging. It's been okay.
You've written your own story of success, and it shows. Chrysler is proud to support startup and all the people out there who define their own success.
The Michigan Economic Development Corporation is proud to support startup and all the dreamers, thinkers, and doers. Pure Michigan, ready for the next big thing.
The American small business was built on one thing: relationships. And every time a customer walks through the door, a new one begins. Pay Anywhere was built to help entrepreneurs do what they do best. So keep loving what you do. Just get paid for it. Pay Anywhere.
There is nothing easy about starting a small business. A Baker's Tale, all natural and gluten-free cookies, tarts, pies, and cakes online. A Baker's Tale is proud to support startup and all of the entrepreneurs out there trying to sweeten their own story of success.